Well, hello friends, and welcome back to DevTools Hacking at last. Today we're going to work a little bit on Hack Studio, and what I would like to do is make it so that we start out with a single editor and then have a way to add more editors. And I mean like these things that I'm splitting here, like this is one editor, this is the other. So I'm going to start out with just this one. And then if I press some magic incantation, I get a second one. And if I have an editor selected and I do another incantation, we would close that editor. I think that would be really cool, because that's often the kind of workflow that I have in QCreator, where I'm like, editing some file and then I want to look at something else. So I open a second editor and I go somewhere in that thing, and then when I'm done with that, I just close it. So I would like to have that in Hack Studio, and I also find it kind of unappealing that it always starts out in this mode with like an empty one up top and a populated one at the bottom. It would just be so much nicer if we started out more like this, I think probably that's also crashy, I was going to say, yeah. But that's a splitter bug in the GUI library. I'm not going to deal with that right now. But let's make it so that we can add and remove editors at will. So, just see that I'm recording. Yeah, it looks like it. All right. So let's see. It's been a few days since I've been in the studio, so I'm gonna have to orient myself a little bit here. Go away, QCreator locator thingy. Gtext editor. Where do we construct these? Editor wrapper. Oh, right. Yeah. We have this editor wrapper thing. And we have add new editor, and I guess we just call that twice at the moment. Yeah. So I think first thing we're going to do is we're just going to start out with one, and then we will have a keybind or an action that opens the second editor or a third or a fourth or whatever. A new editor, essentially. And let's put that in a menu somewhere, I guess in the view menu. Add action, add editor action. Okay. And so in QCreator, by default, you get a second editor, which is a view onto the same document. Scroll to the same position. I think that's a really cool behavior, so I would like to have that, because this is part of kind of the reason why I wanted to be able to have the same document in two text editors, because I can edit the same document up here and down there, and that can be in different parts of the file. So neat. So let's do something like that. I mean, we can already edit the same document into editors, but let's also make it so we can add as many editors as we like. So, gaction create add editor, add new editor, something like that. Or maybe open new editor, add new editor. Yeah, well, whatever. So to switch between them currently, it's Control E. What would be a good, maybe Control Shift E to add a new editor? I don't know. In QCreator, it's Control E2, like Control E, wait, 2. But I'm not crazy about that combo. I can see why they would do it that way, because it's kind of editor management starts with Control E and then the secondary part of the command. But I'm going to try Control Shift E just to see what that feels like. Okay, and then here we'll just do add new editor. Okay, what was it called then? Add new editor with the parent. Right. And the parent is the inner splitter. So we'll just be good boys here and do the same thing. And I guess we want to focus that thing when we add it. So let's see. If there is a current editor wrapper, then we should also split that. So let's see, wrapper set editor has focus. No, wait, how do we focus things here? Wrapper editor set focus true. Yeah, I want to do that one. So wrapper editor set focus true. But I also want them to share the same document to begin with. But maybe we'll get to that part later. Let's just start with splitting at will. DevTools Hack Studio. Let's try this out. Boom. Oh, shit. These guys are not supposed to be up here. But it's cool that we can add more editors then. Look how many we can add, dude. Oh, look at it go. Yeah, then no, it's still pretty responsive, actually. I mean, relatively anyway. But we have a few too many here. What happens if we try to resize a little bit? Ugh. Okay, well, it's clearly not built to handle this behavior that I was doing. So just wanted to see what would happen. But, oh, wait, hold on. Did it focus correctly? I forgot to check. So if I make a new editor, type. Yes, it did focus the new editor. Boom. And I can still switch between them like this. Oh, but switching between does not work right. It just jumps between two. I remember putting a fix me about that. Also, this message is irritating. No man path. Let's get rid of that. If def, do we have a debug thing? The debug. Editor debug. I guess editor debug would have been a fine thing to use instead of. Also, maybe I should just put these kind of things behind it. One big debug flag. I don't know. I kind of like the local debug flags, so you can turn on debugging for a single file. I'm just gonna commit this. DevTools Hack Studio Editor. Put annoying debug spam behind an editor debug. Because now I can freely mouse around my document without debug spam. And this thing is still pretty cool. Although I would like to change the layout, but that's not what we're doing right now. So these things should not go here. That's clearly a mistake. But I guess the issue is that they're all in the inner splitter. So we're gonna have to rethink our UI a little bit here. Wait, where are you? Here. So the inner splitter is the horizontally, or rather vertically laid out splitter on the right side of the Hack Studio window. And previously we would just add two editors and then we would start adding those little action tabs at the bottom, this tab widget here. But now I'm thinking we're gonna need, maybe we should put the editors in a splitter within that splitter. We can call it like the editor splitter. That might make sense. So we'll call it the editor splitter. And then we just have to make sure we use the right one here as well. And and we gotta create that. So we'll put the editor splitter in a how do we do this? A splitter within a splitter. I guess that's okay. I mean, it is a bit weird. What if we could just, instead of adding, we could insert the widget at the right position instead? Because the problem is only that when I add a new editor, that I'm like appending it to the splitter here, right? So we're passing in the inner splitter, and we construct the editor wrapper by just passing the parent. And this just does the default thing. We're just, I'll show you what GWidget does when you construct it. Or, well, actually, it's CObject, which is the base class of GWidget. What it will do when you construct it is just all objects append and then mParent add child. So if we have a parent, which we pass to it, then we will just add child to the parent, which means that in the parent we do mChildren append. So it would be cool to have an insert child, or perhaps insert child before, because then we could pass the action tab thingy. So let's have that. Insert child before CObject child. So let's see, this is going to be the new child, and then we'll have the before child as well. Insert child before new child. Before child. Okay, and then yeah, I think I'm still not really sure what to do with this. Like, should we really allow you to insert a child that's a child of someone else? I think probably not, but I haven't really thought about that one properly yet. So far it's the same as a add child, but then, oh, and this one also. But when it comes to appending, we want to do mChildren. Do we have insert before matching? Holy shit. Wow, thank you, past self. I recall I added this because someone wanted to use it for something they were working on. I think it was maybe Lawrence. But now I get to use it. So how does it work? Let me look it up. So we just give it a callback, and the callback tells us if this entry in mChildren is the one we should insert before. Right, so just do this, and existing child, and we'll say if the existing child is pointer equivalent to the before child, then actually just return like that. Oh, no, not like that. Dip, 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 dip. Oh, and we have to give it something to insert. The new child. Cool. So yeah, so vector insert before matching. Kind of a cool function. So we'll iterate the vector until it finds something where the callback returns true if we give that entry to the callback, and then if it does, then we will insert the new value before the value that the callback told us was the place to insert before. Pretty neat. Okay, then let's go in Hack Studio main. By the way, like this is part of why I enjoy making like my own containers for things, because it allows you to come up with these little things like this that are not offered by the STL and stuff like that. Like they have their own ways of doing things. And when you make your own containers, you can kind of figure out your own flavor, which is really, really fun, I think, and really helps you improve as a programmer, because you sort of you don't restrict yourself to the limitations of existing API. Anyway, so now we want to use that. So instead of using the implicit add to parent here, we'll just give it a null putter as a parent, and then we'll parent it explicitly by saying insert child before wrapper, and you're gonna go before the what are they called? Action tab widget. We're gonna need to store that somewhere. So, or actually no, we can just say here G widget before widget, like that. Where did the tab widget go though? Oh shit, but at this point we don't have it yet because we haven't inserted it. Okay. This gets a little bit complicated. So let's make it a little bit simpler for ourselves. So let's just say G tab widget S action tab widget. If S action tab widget as action tab widget, else we'll just append child or add child, say. Okay, and then when we create the tab widget, we'll say S action tab widget is tab widget, or why don't I just store it in that thing? Okay, add new editor. Okay, I feel like this makes sense now. So if we've instantiated the tab widget, then we will insert new editors before the tab widget. If we haven't instantiated the tab widget yet, we'll just append it into the parent. Insert before matching. We have to the existing child is, what is mchildren? Oh, the existing child is a smart pointer, so that's more like it. That makes sense that the existing child would be a smart pointer, because C object uses non-null ref putter vector of C objects to store the children so that they're kept alive. C objects are kept alive by their parent through this mechanism. But because they are ref counted, so they can have multiple owners. But that's the typical way that you would keep them alive. But then you can also have like a ref putter to a C object that you manage yourself. And then even if it's unparented, that ref putter will still keep the thing alive. Which is actually where libcore and libgui have now deviated from the Qt object model and the memory model, because originally it was based on that. But now you can actually keep a C object alive with reference counting. because I felt that it ended up with a lot more pleasant code if you don't have this weird, like, oh, you just call new C object, and then it magically has these behaviors and these lifetimes and stuff. Now you can very easily understand the lifetime of a C object by just looking at what's his parent and what are the ref putters to it. The parent just has ref putters to it, basically. Anyways, just a completely sidetracked thing. So we are clearly not inserting it at the right place. Dang it. All right. Oh, S action tab widget. This should not be a raw putter. So here's a silly mistake that you can make with smart pointers in Serenity. So if you assign the tab widget to this raw pointer, then it will still work, but this thing does not keep this thing alive. This thing is kept alive by virtue of being a child of the inner splitter. So if you were to remove it from the inner splitter, it would be destroyed, and this thing would point to invalid memory. So it's important to use the right type. But what is our problem? Insert child before. I wonder why this didn't work. I sort of expected this to work. Let's see. Let's verify that we're even calling the right thing. But I always assumed that we were calling the right thing, actually. Okay, so are we calling insert child before? Editor before S action tab widget. And here we are just appending new editor. Inserting before that thing. All right, and then what? We're always inserting before that thing, but it still doesn't change anything. All right, so does this thing not work right? What would be wrong about this? Let's see. Let's make our own version of it. That we just take out of line so that we can experiment, because maybe I'm screwing this up somehow. So template type name C. Vector, wait, what the hell am I forgetting here? No. Wait, why does this even build? Oh, because I didn't save. Vector. Oh shit, I'm in the wrong namespace. Oh, can't I just qualify that actually? Invalid use of blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Vector T. But this isn't right. Frickin' templates. I always forget how to do this type of stuff. The out-of-line templates. Why are you this way? Does it go before? Is that it? How do I do this? Okay, this is a waste of time. I guess I can just edit, I can just do, oh, here's what I like to do. We'll do this, and we'll call it X vector. Okay, wait, what am I doing with my life? Jesus. Okay, stop this screwing around, Andreas. And what did you even want to do? You just wanted to check that this algorithm is valid, right? Insert before matching. Let's just look at it, okay? Okay, iterate from 0 to size. So if we find the element at first index would be 1. If we have one iterator and the top widget is the second, so the index that we're looking for would be 1. So we iterate until we get to the size, which is 2. So we'll get to 1 actually. When we're at 1, we call callback at I with 1. And if that says true, which it should, then we'll insert at 1 this value. So inserting at index. All right. All of this gunk is just me trying to avoid having to wait for this build, right? Because editing vector.h means that everything has to rebuild, because everything uses vector. Wait, why can't I create a file system? Okay. Don't know why it was like that. I guess I aborted a build at some point. Inserting at 1, inserting at 2, inserting at 3. So why is this happening? How do these things end up in the splitter that way then? So this was correct, but what does GSplitter do exactly? It has a layout, so it uses a box layout to implement the splitter layout, and then basically a splitter is a layout, and then if you click in between the sub-widgets or the child widgets of the splitter, then it will interpret that as you are dragging the splitty thingy. So let's look at gbox layout, because I guess something is screwing there. And the way box layout runs is that we iterate over our entries. And what the heck are our entries? They are either a widget or another layout, although this is not hooked up yet, but basically the entries in the layout are the children. So where do we add them? Maybe it's that we don't maybe the layout does not respect the order in which children were added to the widget that the layout controls. That would sort of make sense. How do these things even get into M entries? Oh, I'm confused. Oh, we inherit from glayout. Right, okay. So we have add widget. This is definitely the problem, because when we add the widget, we just append it to the frickin' layout. Okay, so we want the layout entries to be in widget sibling order, basically. So what's the straightforward way of doing that? Where do we call? We call add entry every time. So when we add widget, then which happens here, child event, child added, then we do an add widget, right? And maybe this should, I'm thinking like, should we give it an index? But it doesn't make sense because the entry vector here, it might have other stuff that's not GWidget, like the layout entries. Because as I was saying, a layout entry can be a widget, a layout, like a nested layout or a spacer. So the indices, the index of child widgets and his siblings doesn't really map directly to entries in this vector here. So I guess that maybe the right thing to do is to do a pass where we... Oh, this is kind of annoying, actually. What does it even mean to insert something into a widget that's controlled by a layout? Maybe when you do insert before, then we should tell the layout like, hey, insert before as well, and then it can insert the entry for the widget before the entry for the other widget that we're telling it. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. So we'll have add widget and insert widget before. Say insert entry before, or this one can be custom actually. So where's add entry here, right? So insert widget before is going to do insert before matching. Return existing entry dot would type is entry type widget and existing entry dot widget is equal to, or dot putter equal to amp before widget. Okay, so yeah, we'll insert before the new entry, we'll insert it before the old entry matching this condition, which is that it's this guy. Okay, and then add widget, we'll just have an insert widget before GWidget before widget. And here, child added and child removed. So it's a child event, child added. But really what we want to know is this an insertion? And if so, what are we inserting before? So I guess we can edit this thing a little bit here. We can say like before child. Insertion before child. Let's have that. This is highly specific, but it'll make it work. So see object insertion before child. Default no footer is good, and then say see object insertion before child. If we have one, then we'll make a weak footer to it. Otherwise, we'll just store a null footer. All right, good. Now, here we'll know if we have an insertion before child. If event insertion before child, then layout insert widget before 2G widget event child, and before widget is 2G widget insertion before child. Boom. I guess we should check that the insertion before child is a widget. Otherwise, this is not going to work. Else, we'll just do the old code path. All right, now we just have to make sure when we create the child added event, that we do it correctly. That would be here. When we insert a child before, we just have to pass along the before child. Okay. Oh, we have to rebuild libGUI as well. We have to rebuild so much stuff. Let's make sure that we don't have act changes. Okay. I haven't worked on the, many of these things for a while. So it's funny. I keep finding myself feeling a little bit rusty and like rediscovering how things work. But it is kind of, I do like the system that I've built here for the most part. There are some aspects of it that are irritating and I would like to do differently. But like foundation-wise, it is in a good place, I think. Because it's clearly possible to build on top of it. It is just, I keep coming across little things that I want to work differently. But this mechanism is going to be okay, I think. So when you insert an object before another object, then the child event that we generate will know that this was an insertion. But we don't give it like a different event type because there's only child added and child removed. But the presence of the insertion before child in the child event gives you the clue that this is an insertion, not just a regular append child. There we go. All right, so now we are actually inserting them before that thing. Blip, 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 blip. Awesome. So let's do some commits here. So libraries libcore and libGUI. So child event gains an optional insertion before child, which is only relevant for child added events. And then CObject gains the insert child before API, which takes care to produce the right type of child added event, which is then capped or hooked here by, we check that in GWidget because GWidget handles the child added, and if we have a layout controlling this widget, then we pass this information along to the layout by calling the special insert widget before, which inserts the new widget before the before widget in the layout. That's pretty cool. All right, so let's commit that. libcore plus libgui. Allow inserting a C object, GWidget, before another. When adding a C object widget to a parent, you don't always want to append it to the set of existing children, but instead insert it before some existing one of its siblings. One of its existing children as before one of them. Yeah, that's okay. This patch makes that possible by adding C object insert before insert child before, sorry. Which also produces a child added event with an additional for child pointer. This pointer is then used by GWidget to make sure that any layout present maintains the correct order. Without doing that, newly added children would still be appended into the layout order despite having a different widget sibling order. All right. And then maybe we can do this one as well. So let's say, where's that main? Here. So let's just remove the spam. And I think we can just commit this. Wait, what is that annoying tab widget preferred height? I don't need that. I'm just going to delete that debug since I was touching it anyway, whatever. Just some debug statement. Okay. Hack Studio. Allow adding allow adding more editors by pressing Control Shift E. Cool. Also, now start out with a single editor instead of two. All right. Now let's make it possible to switch between them correctly. And then we're also going to do closing the currently focused editor. But switching between them is very silly. So what is that? Control key E. Where's key E? Control key E, right. Let's switch to next editor. This will only work when there are two editors, right? So can we find the sibling from the wrapper somehow? Is there like a next? Because I know that GWidget has the focus code. Like normally if you press tab, it's not going to work here because we want tab to be handled by the text editor, obviously, because you need to press tab when you're programming. But normally with GWidgets, when you press tab, then we find the next widget to focus. That happens here. Focus next widget, right? And focus next widget. It's also now I immediately start to feel like maybe Control E should go to the next editor, and then Control Shift E should go to the previous one instead of creating a new one, because that would be kind of logical. But then we'll need a new keybind for creating a new editor. Maybe Control Alt E. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay, let's switch to that right away. Actually, where is that? Shift key E. Let's do Control Alt E. I'm feeling spicy, so let me just verify that that works, because I feel like we don't have many Control Alt thingies. Okay, that works. Cool. And then we can just append that to the previous commit, and then nobody will know the difference. Let's just not add that. Okay. Okay, it's as if it never was any different. Okay, now we want to do the next, switch to next editor, right? So GWidget focus next widget will grab all of the focusable widgets in the window and then jump to the next one. So we don't really want to do that. We just want to get all the editor wrappers and iterate them in order, but we want them to be in widget order. So we should really, we don't want to iterate the list of editor wrappers because this might not be in widget order. We just want to, we want to look at the parent container of them and then just look at all the children that are editor wrappers. So for inner splitter dot for each child of type editor wrapper. This is going to need a little bit of helping because it's not going to know how to identify this type at first. We're going to have to help it a little bit. Let's see. Oh. My nose is so itchy. Ugh. Child. Okay, and I guess I can make a vector of them here. Put a wrapper. Wrappers, append, child, something like that. And then all we need to do is just if G current editor wrapper dot putter is wrapper. wrappers I. Then want to get the next one. So how do we could just call set focus on it, I guess. Wrappers I, if I is equal to wrappers size minus 1, wrappers 0, editor, set focus true, else the next one. Okay, and then for each child of type, let's go look at that, because for each child of type, oh, and this is how you do these, by the way. Should have looked. Anyway. We call isT on the C object. So we want to have one of these for the editor child, or the editor widget wrapper, sorry. And this is 2, not is. I am in the wrong place. I did not want 2, I wanted is. Is an editor wrapper object, and then if we want to find that out, we have to call object dot. Oh, how do we find out if something is an editor wrapper, actually? Oh, I know. Class name, editor wrapper. So, oh, right, it's fine, let's do it this way. That's kind of a funny thing, but yeah, that's the way that we would know, because it's something that the C object macro provides. The C object macro could get better at this. It could also implement more stuff, I think. But right now, yeah, we could do something fancy with this, but this will do for right now. Oh, we have to return an iteration decision. Continue. Control Alt. Right. And then let me switch. Look at that. We can switch between them. How cool. Okay, let's teach it how to switch backwards, because it'll be pretty straightforward. I'm just going to copy paste. Because why not? I don't know. I don't want to generalize this right now, so I'm just going to copy paste. Sorry. Wrappers size -1 greater than equal to 0. Backwards iteration is one of these things that always trips me up somehow. So if we are at 0, then we gotta go to wrappers.last freebie. Otherwise, it's I -1. Switch to next, and we didn't do anything with that. We didn't add it to the menu or anything. So I guess this thing should just work. Let's try it out. Okay, so let's go forward, boop, boop, backward, boop, 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 boop. Very, very cool. Okay, so this was Hack Studio allow switching between editors with Control Shift E. I realize now that I have to update the commit message in the previous commit. Control E, Control Shift E. Right? Because I said Control Shift E here. Yeah, this one should say Control Alt E. We'll just use git rebase. It's no big deal. So we'll edit that one. And say Alt and git rebase continue, and everything looks good. Cool. Then, yeah. Then let's close editors as well. So auto remove editor, G action create. I guess that will be remove current editor, and let's have it be Control Shift Alt E. Like this really obscenely difficult thing to press. Should we do that? That's probably unpleasant to press. Control Alt E, Control Shift, maybe Alt Shift E. I don't know. We're just gonna have to play with these things anyway, because I don't know what the right things are. As you can see, I keep saying that I don't know what the right things are because I don't know what the right things are. So if all editor wrappers, if we only have one, right, or none, then we definitely don't want to close the last one. We'll leave that one open. But otherwise, I guess we'll say G current editor wrapper. So I think we'll switch to the next one before we do the remove. So we'll cache the one that we want to deal with. So editor wrapper or auto wrapper. Is G current editor wrapper. Oops. And then, wait, yeah, right. Then what we want to do is, I guess we can just trigger the switch to the next editor action. Just activate that, switch to the next editor, and then we will inner splitter remove child wrapper. And will that actually remove it from all editor wrappers? No, it will not, because we just append it here. So we got to make sure to remove it ourselves. Remove first matching. Okay, we can't remove, but if we add, then boom, we can remove, boom, 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 boom. Okay, so then let's split this and open up the make file. No, the make file. Okay, this thing is definitely confused about some stuff. It might be unrelated to what we're doing here. I'm not even sure. Yeah, okay, so something is definitely off here. I don't know what that was. Actually, that was probably the same bug I was seeing while I was doing the monthly video. Something is all goofy while I'm double clicking here. Oh, maybe it's because I'm holding control. Okay. Anyway, we have two things open, and then let's close the makefile one. Boom. Okay, that worked. And let's open a new one, open the makefile in that, and close this one instead. Boom. Working beautifully, I would say. Add new editor. We could add it up there. So remove current editor. Let's add it to the menu. Where's that thing? Add editor action. View menu. Add action. Maybe we'll put the little splitter or separator here. Add separator. Just for the aesthetics of it. See, and we have a separator here. Add new editor, remove current editor. So we can add one, Control Alt E, and we can remove them like that. It's pretty neat. Okay, let's commit this. Studio. Allow removing the current editor with Alt Shift E. These keybinds are all temporary while I figure out what's some good, what the right ones should be. I'm not exactly sure how, but it'll reveal itself somehow. We should maybe mention that note that you are not allowed to remove the very last editor. Cool. And let's be good about little details and make sure that this menu action here is not available. If you only have one editor, then we should be disabled. So let's see. Do we have some update actions thing? Let's make an update actions. It's always good to have an update actions. Let's see. Maybe we declare it up top. I don't know. Update actions. And then down here, this is where we have actually declared everything, so it's available to us now. Actions, we'll say, what was it called? Remove current editor. Set enabled is G, all editor wrappers, size greater than 1. And also this should probably be called something action, right? And oh, we gotta make sure we call update actions. Here. And I guess we'll call it remove editor. Okay. So now, remove current editor. Why is it available? Okay, it should have not been available. So, oh, shit, yeah, right. We have to actually call update actions on startup. So we'll do that, the very last thing we do. This, like, adding this type of thing makes me feel that this should be turned into like a big class eventually, because it's really it's a little bit annoying to have to depend on like the order of declaration all the time. Because I put it here at the end because then everything is declared, so I can refer to it. But if they were members, then I could refer to them even if, like, no matter where I put it, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so now when we start up, it's not available. And then let's add an editor, and boom, look at that. And oh, you can actually activate actions while the menu is up. That's kind of weird. And oh my god, it updated automatically. I never even saw that happen. It actually works. How cool is that? What if I hover over it while it becomes unavailable? That also worked. Dude. Wow, this system is robust in places where I was not expecting it. That's really cool. All right, let's commit. So, Hack Studio, update the remove current editor action enabled state. It should not be enabled. This action should not be enabled when there's only one editor open. Since you are not allowed to be editorless. Okay, cool. It's a nice little set of changes. I think that's going to be it for today's video. So we have built this thing that allows us to add more editors. And yeah, I know I talked about how I wanted to make it so that we split the existing file, but I think I'm not going to do that today because then this will just drag on. But we have built switching the editors, adding new editors, and removing the currently selected editor. A lot of cool new features. I'm happy to do a bit of DevTools hacking again. And I hope you saw something interesting here. So I would say thank you for hanging out and for coming back. And welcome to all the new subscribers. I don't know where all the people are coming from, but it's very nice to have you all here. And I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.